diabetes, cholesterol, and belly fat, three of the most persistent health battles for people over 65. Now, in 2025, scientists are giving serious attention to ancient natural remedies that have been used for generations. Surprisingly, it's not exotic powders or expensive pills, but simple leaves you probably know well. Research shows many people with diabetes already use herbs alongside their medications, and doctors are beginning to note their potential. These 16 leaves are promising, widely studied in recent years, and often used safely when prepared as gentle teas or seasonings, but always talk to your doctor first. In fact, the renewed interest from today's medical community is tied to something fascinating. These traditional leaves are starting to gain recognition in modern clinics too. Why leaves are getting doctors' attention in 2025? One reason this renewed interest matters is the reality many seniors face every day, managing multiple prescriptions at once. For adults in their late 60s and beyond, it isn't unusual to take 5, sometimes even 10 different medications on a daily basis. This can leave the body struggling to keep up with the combined load, and it opens the door to unpredictable interactions between drugs. The toll is not only physical, weighing heavily on the liver and kidneys, but also emotional, as many seniors feel caught in a cycle of adding more pills just to counter side effects from the last ones. Against this backdrop, researchers and clinicians in 2025 are studying plant-based compounds with a fresh perspective. These are not mystical cures or alternative replacements, but rather natural sources of molecules that have measurable effects in laboratories and early-stage clinical trials. Modern analysis shows that certain leaves contain bioactive chemicals capable of supporting glucose regulation, moderating cholesterol absorption, and calming low-level inflammation. For older adults, this gentler influence holds promise because the body's slower metabolism can make aggressive pharmaceuticals harder to tolerate. Instead of forcing abrupt chemical shifts, leaves in culinary amounts may encourage steadier adjustment within the body's existing systems. That doesn't mean they are without risk or that the evidence is final. Most of the stronger data comes from animal research or small-scale human trials rather than large, definitive studies. This makes safety the central consideration. Scientists point out that some herbs could overlap or interact with existing medications, and this possibility needs to be respected. For example, studies suggest that chia leaves may interact with metformin, a common diabetes drug, which underscores why every new addition should be reviewed with a doctor first. Used carefully, however, such as in the form of tea or as a seasoning in food, certain leaves may help reduce dependence on additional supplements while lowering the overall pill burden. But this only holds true when intake stays close to dietary levels and is monitored by a healthcare provider. Consumers should also be aware that the way herbs are prepared makes a difference. A slow-brewed tea or seasoning sprinkled into a meal provides a gentler effect than concentrated extracts or capsules that deliver doses far beyond tradition. That is why much of the conversation among doctors in 2025 stresses practical, food-based approaches, not high-potency products with inflated claims. The bigger picture is not about reinventing medicine, but reshaping how daily routines can support health. Instead of another pill bottle, an older adult might reach for a brewed cup of herbs with lunch. Instead of relying on quick-fix supplements marketed heavily online, a sprinkling of leaves at the dinner table could become part of steady, long-term care. This perspective sets the stage for understanding the value of these plants not as miracle solutions, but as steady allies that work best through consistency and moderation. And within this framework, one topic rises again and again: hidden inflammation. It often goes unnoticed in seniors, yet it strongly worsens conditions like diabetes, cholesterol imbalances, and stubborn belly fat. That silent stress on the body is where the next part of our discussion naturally begins. Leaves that calm inflammation quietly eating away at health. Inflammation is often described as hidden wear and tear inside the body. Many older adults do not sense it directly. There is no obvious swelling or immediate pain in most cases. Instead, it lingers quietly, making blood sugar more difficult to stabilize, keeping cholesterol levels stubborn, and causing belly fat to stick around. Because of this subtle but steady impact, calming inflammation is becoming a medical priority. Researchers are turning back to everyday kitchen leaves, and two in particular, sage and rosemary, are now receiving attention for how they can be used safely in senior routines. Sage is a familiar flavor in many kitchens, but its value stretches beyond taste. In traditional medicine, sage leaf was often brewed as a mild home remedy, and today laboratory studies confirm that it contains plant-based compounds with anti-inflammatory activity. These compounds don't behave exactly like strong anti-inflammatory drugs, which often provide rapid relief but can irritate the stomach and strain the kidneys. Instead, sage works in a slower, more supportive way. For seniors, this gentler mechanism has benefits. It avoids sudden chemical shocks to the body and can more easily be integrated into daily living. A simple tea made from 1 or 2 leaves or a small sprinkle on food offers steady exposure without the risk seen in concentrated supplements. While results in humans are still under study, the low-dose, food-like approach provides a safer and more practical option for older adults who want ongoing support without overloading their systems. Rosemary, another well-known seasoning, offers a different but complementary profile. Science has focused on rosmarinic acid and antioxidant compounds in the leaf, which are linked to circulation support and moderation of internal inflammatory signals. For seniors, these actions matter because both blood flow and the control of vessel irritation decline with age, creating higher risks for complications in the heart and arteries. Adding rosemary in cooking, sprinkling it lightly over meals, or preparing a warm tea provides a way to access its benefits without resorting to concentrated oils or extracts, which may carry higher levels of risk. In this mild form, rosemary may gently help the cardiovascular system, as well as reduce some of the biological signals that keep belly fat and blood sugar dysregulation locked in place. A practical benefit of both sage and rosemary is the ease of use. Instead of managing tablets or high-dose capsules, older adults can turn to pre-bagged teas or common dried spice jars already sitting at home. These options are inexpensive, easy to store, and do not require major changes in cooking habits. Choosing a cup of rosemary or sage tea in the afternoon or adding half a teaspoon to dinner can fold into normal routines without resistance. Both herbs are naturally caffeine-free, which makes them friendly even for seniors who prefer tea in the evening without disturbing sleep. Safe dosage is another crucial point. The value of these leaves is not in large quantities, but in consistent, gentle intake. 1 to 2 cups of tea daily or a light pinch of dried leaf in cooking is generally most suitable for older bodies. Exceeding that with concentrated capsules or medicinal strength oils can be unnecessarily harsh and may even risk side effects or drug interactions. Clinical experts strongly recommend food level amounts for seniors rather than pharmaceutical level doses. This measured use aligns with the growing medical consensus that lower, slower, and more consistent approaches work best in later years. Of course, safety also requires attention to medication overlap. Many people in their 60s and 70s already manage complicated plans involving cholesterol medicine, blood pressure tablets, or diabetes drugs. At these levels, introducing strong herbal extracts is not wise. But when sage and rosemary are limited to culinary or tea forms, current evidence suggests interaction risks are fairly low. Even then, health experts continue to stress the same rule for seniors: talk to a doctor before adding something new. Each person's situation is unique, and even gentle additions should be reviewed to make sure they do not interfere with prescription routines. A apart from the science, the experience of using these herbs carries its own benefit. Unlike swallowing another tablet, a ritual such as brewing tea can feel calming and familiar. That relaxation alone lowers tension in the body, and many seniors describe it as a contrast to the stress of pill taking. Since stress hormones are known to worsen internal inflammation, this indirect effect becomes part of the overall support system. The result speaks not just to chemical compounds in the leaves, but also to how they fit into daily life, providing moments of calm that ripple out to the body as a whole. Digestive support is a secondary but meaningful advantage. Low-grade inflammation in the stomach and intestines is common in aging and can cause bloating or unpredictable digestion. Both sage and rosemary have traditionally been regarded as soothing for digestion, helping reduce discomfort and making meals more tolerable. Even modest relief in this area can encourage seniors to eat better, take in more nutrients, and maintain strength, important when inflammation is already testing the body on multiple fronts. The effects of these leaves are never instant. Instead, the strength comes from gradual, consistent use. When sage and rosemary are quietly supporting the system each day, the body may slowly show signs of improvement, better comfort. In the mornings, fewer fluctuations after meals, steadier cholesterol checkups, and even a slight reduction in stubborn abdominal tightness. These subtle improvements add up, and they do so without the dramatic risks carried by harsher interventions. Because research on herbs still produces mixed outcomes, the safest path forward is clear. Use sage and rosemary in modest food-based ways, avoid high-concentration extracts unless supervised, and always review decisions with a healthcare provider. This practice respects both the scientific evidence and the traditional wisdom that has shaped their use over the centuries. Within that balance lies their real value for senior health. Later, we'll show the simplest, arthritis-friendly way to prepare these leaves at home, so they fit naturally even into limited routines. As important as calming inflammation is, there is another daily challenge that weighs heavily on older adults. Everyday digestive issues, bloating, heaviness after eating, or frequent gas may look small on the surface, but often reflect deeper strain on the system. And when digestion stalls, it becomes harder to control belly fat and sugar levels. That is where the next group of leaves begins to show their influence. Digestion-supporting leaves that make food work for you. For many older adults, the first signs of trouble show up not in their blood tests, but at the dinner table. Meals that once brought comfort can now leave behind bloating, pressure, or a heavy stomach that lingers for hours. Past age 65, the body digests at a slower pace, and that delay has consequences. Food that sits too long can mean unpredictable blood sugar surges, extra strain on cholesterol management, and discomfort that discourages movement after meals. This is why doctors in 2025 are revisiting leaves long valued for their digestive support. Among them, peppermint and oregano stand out as practical choices that seniors can use daily. Peppermint is recognized instantly by its cooling taste, but beyond flavor, it has a role in supporting smoother digestion. Both traditional remedies and laboratory reports suggest its natural compounds help the digestive process work with less effort. For seniors, this matters because slow digestion often leads to food lingering in the stomach. Peppermint taken as a tea after meals can ease that burden, encouraging food to move more comfortably through the system. Another key benefit is its gentle ability to relax digestive muscles, which helps reduce trapped gas and cut down on uncomfortable bloating. Instead of adding another pill, a simple cup of peppermint tea provides light support that can make post-meal hours easier and more comfortable. Practical advice is straightforward. Brew a warm tea bag after lunch or dinner and let the body do the rest. The way peppermint helps balance sugar is also important. When digestion slows, sugar releases unevenly leading to rises and drops that are tiring and disruptive. By nudging food to move at a steadier rate, peppermint helps blood sugar absorb in a smoother pattern. For those managing diabetes, that can reduce sudden swings. A useful tip is to track your glucose readings in the first couple of weeks after adding peppermint tea, so you can see how your body responds. At the same time, it's wise to be cautious. Concentrated peppermint oil can aggravate reflux symptoms, which are common in older adults. For those with GERD or heartburn, it's best to avoid high-strength oils and stick with gentle teas. Oregano, best known as part of many Mediterranean recipes, carries its own digestive benefits. For centuries, it has been used not only as a flavor, but as an aid in breaking down heavier foods. Modern reports highlight its role in supporting bile production, which is key for digesting fats. Seniors often notice fatty meals feel heavy or greasy. This is partly due to slower bile release as the liver and gallbladder age. Oregano, as a cooking herb or in tea form, gives the digestive system a small push to handle those meals more efficiently. A little dried oregano sprinkled on vegetables or soups can ease the post-meal heaviness that discourages activity in the hours after eating. Another point in oregano's favor is its support of gut balance. Many older adults face intestinal shifts due to long-term medication use or changes in diet. Oregano leaf holds natural compounds that limit harmful bacteria while supporting a healthier gut environment overall. That balance doesn't just reduce bloating. It helps food convert more effectively into usable energy. When the stomach and intestines process meals more cleanly, the result is less sluggishness and more consistent vitality throughout the day. A simple approach is best. Culinary amounts of dried oregano in meals or a light herbal tea are sufficient to encourage these benefits. Using peppermint and oregano in practical, everyday ways matters most. Seniors who deal with arthritis, limited hand strength, or reduced grip don't need extra work preparing fresh herbs. Fortunately, peppermint is already sold in pre-bagged teas, while oregano is easy to shake from a common spice jar. Together, they take little effort, but offer real comfort. A peppermint tea in the evening can make rest easier, while oregano folded into sauces or sprinkled over a meal provides support without changing routines. Both are caffeine-free and integrate naturally into daily life. Safety should remain central. In culinary amounts, both peppermint and oregano are considered low risk, but problems arise when concentrated forms are overused. Strong peppermint oils or oregano extracts can interact with existing prescriptions and may irritate sensitive digestive systems. The best rule for seniors is to stay with teas and dried seasoning amounts, avoiding capsules or oils unless guided by a clinician. If you already take prescription medications for digestion, blood pressure or circulation, or if you live with reflux disease, it is important to review these herbs with your doctor before making changes. This ensures safe use while maintaining the benefits. Another practical advantage of these leaves is their potential to reduce reliance on antacids. Many seniors use over-the-counter antacids for frequent discomfort, but long-term use has been linked to loss of minerals such as calcium, raising the risk of fractures. By leaning on herbs like peppermint tea for gentle relief, it may be possible to rely less on antacids and protect bone health at the same time. That shift alone can make a long-term difference, especially for older adults already managing osteoporosis risk. Comfort after meals doesn't just affect digestion. It influences daily energy and independence. For example, bloating or heaviness often discourages walking, makes it uncomfortable to attend events, and disrupts sleep. When peppermint and oregano are used consistently, those burdens can lighten, meals become more enjoyable, energy remains steadier, and rest is less disturbed at night. Over months and years, these small adjustments add up to a stronger foundation of well-being without adding another prescription bottle or complicated schedule. The larger lesson is clear. Digestive discomfort is not something every senior must accept as unavoidable. Peppermint and oregano work quietly with the body, offering everyday relief that is safe, affordable, and practical. Their value does not come from extreme or concentrated effects, but from steady, modest support that makes eating and living easier. With consistent use, food begins to feel less like a source of bloating and more like the fuel it is meant to be. By addressing digestion in simple, food-level ways, seniors often uncover benefits that extend far beyond the stomach. Once meals become easier to manage, blood sugar and cholesterol control improve. Mobility feels less restricted, and comfort in daily life increases. That better balance inside the digestive system forms one important piece of the wider picture of senior health. Just as the stomach and intestines need support, so too do the heart and arteries, where age brings even greater risks that demand steady care. And it is here that the next set of leaves takes on special importance. Leaves that have senior-friendly heart benefits. Heart health becomes one of the central concerns for people over 65. With age, issues such as high cholesterol, stiffening arteries, and fluid retention affect daily comfort long before they appear on test results. The strain is not only about major events like heart attacks. It shows up in smaller ways: shortness of breath when climbing stairs, swelling in the feet, or blood pressure that seems to rise without clear cause. While medications remain essential for many, researchers in 2025 are studying whether certain everyday leaves can play a gentler supporting role. Two of the most practical for seniors are bay leaf and parsley. Bay leaf is already a quiet staple in most kitchens, slipped into soups or stews for its aroma. Beyond its culinary role, traditional use, and early studies suggest compounds in bay leaf may support healthier cholesterol patterns. The action appears to be linked to reducing how much dietary cholesterol is absorbed in the digestive system. This means less makes its way into circulation, which may help slow down the rate at which LDL, or bad cholesterol, accumulates over time. For older adults, this softer support matters because it relies on the digestive tract rather than forcing major chemical changes through the liver, which may already be sensitive after decades of processing medication. The effect isn't dramatic, but may provide a steadier background benefit. A warm bay leaf tea brewed once or twice a day, or a leaf added while cooking is the senior-friendly method often recommended. As always, culinary or tea forms are best, and it's safest to check with your clinician before starting a new routine. Unlike medications that try to force significant shifts in cholesterol numbers, bay leaf's role is more about moderation. Gentle changes over months are more realistic than expecting overnight results. If combined with balanced meals and light activity, this traditional leaf fits neatly into the kind of slow maintenance that many seniors find sustainable. And because the preparation is simple, a single dried bay leaf steeped in hot water or simmered in a broth, little effort or equipment is needed. This practicality is important for older adults managing mobility or arthritis. What matters most is consistent, measured use, not large amounts. Whole bay leaves should always be removed before eating because they remain stiff and indigestible even after cooking. Parsley, often relegated to decoration on a plate, contains nutrients and plant compounds that make it more than an afterthought. Vitamins C and K, along with flavonoids, contribute to antioxidant activity that helps protect artery walls from oxidative stress. This is relevant because arteries tend to stiffen with age, which adds pressure on the heart. Antioxidants help maintain greater flexibility by reducing the damage caused by constant low-level oxidation. Alongside this, parsley provides a mild diuretic effect. For seniors who experience swollen ankles or a sense of fluid heaviness, This natural support can encourage the kidneys to eliminate excess sodium and water. Easing fluid retention in this way not only decreases discomfort, but also helps reduce blood pressure resistance, indirectly lowering the strain on the heart. Again, the caveat is the same. Parsley should be taken in normal culinary or tea amounts, and each individual should review its use with their healthcare provider. There is one special safety reminder for parsley because of its vitamin K content and its influence on fluid balance. It is particularly important for seniors on blood thinners or kidney medications to discuss use with their prescriber. Herbs do not act in isolation. They can shift how drugs behave in the body. Even small changes in clotting or kidney function may carry risks if not monitored. For this reason, rather than using concentrated parsley supplements, the practical approach is to rely on light additions of fresh or dried parsley sprinkled onto meals or blended gently into sauces. Those tiny amounts are enough to deliver antioxidants and mild diuretic action without overwhelming the system. How these two leaves are prepared also influences their effects. Bay leaf works best in teas or cooking water, since warmth helps draw out its compounds into a digestible form. Parsley can be used either fresh or dried, stirred into dishes near the end of cooking to preserve its vitamin content, or infused into a light tea for a mild, refreshing drink. Both options align with the senior health principle. Use food-level strengths, not concentrated extracts. This prevents sudden disruptions in the body and allows safe integration into daily meals. For many seniors, the attraction of using bay leaf and parsley is not only the potential heart benefits, but also how seamlessly they fit into routines. There is no additional pill to swallow and no special product to buy. These leaves are already common in most kitchens. For someone struggling with multiple prescriptions, that sense of adding support without adding another bottle eases daily mental load. Enjoying a tea after dinner or sprinkling parsley over lunch vegetables feels like a normal part of meals, not another task on a to-do list. These small details improve adherence, which often makes a bigger difference than the compounds themselves. It is important to remember that these leaves do not replace medical care and do not remove the need for prescribed medications. Instead, they fill a different role, helping create a safer, more sustainable environment for the body. Prescription drugs often provide the necessary force to control dangerous numbers. Bay leaf and parsley, in contrast, may offer background support, slowing the processes that weaken cardiovascular health and providing comfort in the day-to-day. It is this layer of gentle maintenance that makes them appealing for older adults looking to care for long-term health without overburdening their systems. A simple experiment makes these ideas concrete. Seniors could add 1 bay leaf to soups or stews each day and include a handful of parsley in salads or as a topping with meals. Carry this routine consistently for 1 month, and at the next scheduled checkup, pay attention to any changes in cholesterol numbers, blood pressure, or swelling in the legs and feet. Even if the improvements are modest, these small actions build over time. Tracking them alongside prescribed care helps ensure that these habits reinforce health rather than conflict with professional treatment. By framing both bay leaf and parsley as companions, not cures, seniors can focus on manageable adjustments that sustain energy and reduce strain on the heart. Each addition to daily meals contributes to circulation that feels smoother, feet that feel less swollen, and a pressure load on the heart that is slightly lighter. These quiet differences matter in the lived experience of aging. They can change how comfortably someone gets through the day. Support for the heart creates space for other systems to improve as well. When circulation flows more easily and swelling is reduced, the body handles stress in a calmer way. And stress, although often thought of only as an emotional factor, has a powerful impact on physical health, especially in its effects on sugar levels and belly fat. Understanding how stress hormones act on the body reveals why the next group of leaves is just as relevant for senior well-being. Calming leaves that lower stress hormones and sugar. Stress creates more than unease in the mind. It acts directly on the body through the hormone cortisol. For seniors, this hormone is particularly concerning because it stays active longer and interferes with systems that are already slowing down. Constantly raised cortisol levels signal the body to store extra fat around the waist, push blood sugar higher than needed, and trigger cravings for quick energy foods. Many older adults who carefully watch their diet still find sugar levels creeping up, not because of meals alone, but because the ongoing drip of stress hormones keeps shifting metabolism out of balance. Researchers now point to two specific calming leaves with a dual benefit for seniors: lemon balm and holy basil. Both herbs reduce stress-linked tension and help blunt the cortisol-driven surges of glucose that make diabetes and belly fat more stubborn. Each has a long track record of traditional use, and modern studies provide additional backing. Evidence for lemon balm supports its calming influence, which reduces anxiety and improves rest. Holy basil has even stronger data, with trials suggesting short-term improvements in blood sugar and lipid balance at moderate levels. Transparency is important here. The studies are not all large-scale, but they align with long-standing practical use and give seniors credible low-risk options to explore under guidance. Lemon balm is part of the mint family, mild in taste, and widely available in tea form. Its gentle calming effect does not sedate or leave a heavy fog the next morning, which makes it more suitable for older adults who are sensitive to leftover drowsiness. Drinking it as an evening tea helps settle restlessness and allows cortisol levels to ease down, which in turn prevents the hormone from unnecessarily raising blood sugar during the night. Seniors who add this ritual often find not only calmer sleep, but also steadier glucose readings the following morning. The action is quiet and supportive, working more like a smoothing tool than a quick fix. Holy basil, known across cultures as tulsi, supports the stress response with a slightly different mechanism. Instead of simply slowing down the nervous system, it encourages balance in adrenal activity, so cortisol is released in amounts the body can actually use. Small doses also correspond with modest drops in fasting glucose and cholesterol observed in trials, which gives holy basil an advantage for seniors balancing multiple risk factors. In practice, those who use it as a morning or midday tea often note not just reduced feelings of tension, but also fewer cravings for sweets between meals. This behavioral shift is as valuable as the chemical effect. By calming stress hormones, holy basil lowers both the internal signal for sugar release and the psychological urge to seek snacks. For older adults, one of the most valuable strategies is to use both herbs in ways that fit the natural rhythm of the day. Lemon balm, taken in the evening, supports rest and steadier overnight sugar levels. Holy basil, taken earlier in the day, works to blunt stress-linked spikes and reduce the evening habit of reaching for high-calorie foods. This combination creates a gentle balance throughout the day that does not interfere with other prescriptions or strain the system with sudden chemical changes. By treating them as time supports rather than random additions, seniors can gradually build healthier daily patterns. Practicality makes a difference. Both lemon balm and holy basil are sold as pre-packed teas that require no cutting, straining, or measuring, important when grip strength or eyesight may limit preparation. A daily cup becomes part of normal meals rather than a separate medical-seeming task. Unlike concentrated oils or capsules, tea-strength preparations keep effects mild and avoid overwhelming the body. Clinical studies on holy basil often use higher gram-level doses, but for seniors, it is safer and sufficient to begin with tea strength, 1 cup per day, and only consider adjustments under medical supervision. This guideline helps maximize safety while still accessing the benefits shown in research. Safety should always anchor the discussion. Lemon balm is generally well tolerated in tea strength, though people on thyroid medications are advised to avoid large quantities without clearance. Holy basil may thin the blood slightly, which is a concern for anyone already prescribed anticoagulants. Both herbs can also enhance the effect of glucose-lowering medications. This means seniors starting with these teas should proceed slowly and keep an eye on their blood sugar readings for the first couple of weeks, sharing any changes with their clinician. The aim is to complement medical care, not create hidden interactions. The value of these calming herbs expands beyond numbers on a chart. Stress affects sleep, social comfort, and mood, all of which feed back into physical health. Lemon balm tea at night can lead to deeper sleep, which itself lowers morning blood sugar and blood pressure. Holy basil, taken earlier, reduces the background irritation that leads to mood swings and cravings. Used together, they create a cycle of calmer days and steadier nights. That steadiness flows into lower strain on the heart, less belly fat accumulation, and more predictable A1C measures over time. Another meaningful dimension is how easy it is to share them. Seniors struggling with isolation often find benefit in community practices, and herbs like these naturally fit into social settings. Offering a pot of lemon balm tea before bed in a family setting or holy basil at mid-morning group gatherings weaves emotional support with physiological benefit. This combined effect strengthens both body and mind without the risks tied to heavy sedatives or anti-anxiety drugs. It is also worth pointing out that the role of these leaves is not to erase stress entirely. Appointments, mobility challenges, family worries, or health shifts will continue to create demands. Instead, lemon balm and holy basil allow the body to respond without staying locked in overdrive. Cortisol still rises when genuinely needed but comes down afterward, preventing the damaging long-term exposure that wears down energy and resilience. That recalibration leaves seniors better prepared both mentally and physically to manage ordinary life. Over the weeks and months of consistent use, the results become measurable. Blood sugar stabilizes across the day, cravings decrease, belly fat becomes less resistant to light exercise, and sleep feels more restorative. These are not dramatic swings, but steady adjustments that accumulate with time. Seniors who keep track of meter readings or who notice how clothing fits often see these subtle gains reinforcing larger goals. And as stress hormones play a smaller disruptive role, other medications often work more smoothly because the body is no longer in constant chemical conflict. Small adjustments in daily rituals can have lasting impact. Adding lemon balm to the evening routine and holy basil to the daytime rhythm helps seniors cut down on reliance for sedatives or anxiolytics that may increase risk of dizziness or dependence. Instead of simply suppressing symptoms with strong drugs, these herbs support the body's own capacity to recover calm. That distinction matters as much for long-term safety as it does for immediate comfort. By treating stress and sugar control at the same time, lemon balm and holy basil give older adults a practical way to use natural leaves as genuine allies. They do not replace doctor's orders, but provide another layer of steady support, affordable, easy to prepare, and compatible with most daily patterns. For seniors dealing with many prescriptions, even small shifts can ease the burden and add to the sense of control. With these accessible options, stress loses its grip on sugar, sleep, and belly weight. Supporting stress balance is one dimension of healthier aging, but it is not the only challenge seniors face. As years advance, new concerns emerge, with bones and joints requiring as much attention as sugar control or heart health. The body begins asking for leaves that can strengthen structure while also helping with metabolic balance, creating another layer of practical support for everyday life. Leaves that help bones, joints, and sugar all together. Past 60, the challenges of aging begin to intersect in ways that can no longer be separated into neat categories. Weak bones, aching joints, and unstable blood sugar are not isolated problems. They reinforce one another. Loss of density makes bones more fragile, less mobility worsens stiffness, and lower activity slows the way sugar is burned. Meanwhile, high glucose feeds inflammation that further weakens skeletal tissues. This cycle often leaves older adults caught between prescriptions for both diabetes and bone support, without realizing that some everyday leaves may provide overlapping help for these shared struggles. Dandelion leaf is one of the most useful examples. Long regarded as little more than a stubborn weed, dandelion is actually a dense source of bone-related minerals, including calcium, magnesium, and vitamin K. These nutrients are not magic fixes, but they do contribute to the construction, regulation, and proper use of bone tissue when paired with diet and exercise. Just as important, dandelion has been used traditionally to support digestion and the liver. Its natural bitter compounds help stimulate digestive secretions, which improves absorption of minerals already present in meals. Over time, ensuring that calcium and magnesium from food are better absorbed supports stronger bones and joints. At the same time, its mild diuretic properties encourage balanced fluid regulation, useful for seniors who deal with swelling. For real-world use, a simple tea made from packaged, food-grade bags is the safest path. This avoids the cleaning and preparation that can be heavy on arthritic hands while still delivering a moderate dose of dandelion's bioactive compounds. The tea provides mineral supply and digestive support together, building a foundation for more resilient bones and a steadier metabolism in older adults. Mulberry leaf addresses the sugar side of this equation while still contributing to healthy tissues. Research highlights its role in moderating glucose by slowing carbohydrate absorption and improving insulin sensitivity. For seniors with weaker insulin responses, this pacing effect stops blood sugar from spiking too high after a meal. With more controlled post-meal readings, day-to-day energy feels steadier and damage to blood vessels slows. Mulberry also provides antioxidants and a modest contribution of minerals that help reduce low-level inflammation affecting the joints. This makes it a supportive option for seniors who face both stiffness and elevated glucose side by side. Here, too, the tea format is the most practical. Pre-packaged mulberry teas or powders intended for human consumption are senior-friendly and require very little effort. Importantly, those already using diabetes medications should be cautious. Mulberry can enhance the effect of these drugs, which may lead to lower than expected glucose readings. The safest instruction for seniors is clear. If you start adding mulberry tea, check your sugar levels carefully for the first 2 weeks, especially after meals, so that any changes can be shared with a clinician and discussed before long-term adoption. Taken together, dandelion and mulberry offer a complementary approach to senior health. Dandelion brings minerals and digestive support that over time sustain bone integrity and make nutrient absorption more efficient. Mulberry moderates glucose fluctuations, protects joint tissues from low-grade inflammation, and provides indirect support for mobility. Neither leaf is a cure on its own, but in daily use they form a practical strategy. One cup targeted towards skeletal support, another cup aimed at moderating sugar. Rather than compartmentalizing issues, these leaves work across systems, adding gentle reinforcement where age-related weaknesses overlap most. There is also an important aspect of consistency. Neither dandelion nor mulberry works in bursts. Their effects rely on gradual reinforcement, steady habits, and ongoing use. For seniors, this is a key advantage. Both herbs can be easily integrated into regular meals or snack times. Making tea a daily habit adds structure without adding weight to already complicated medication routines. Unlike a new prescription or supplement, these leaves do not require complicated schedules, exacting dosages, or the stress of potential severe side effects. Choosing pre-cleaned, clearly labeled teas or powders virtually removes the risk of contamination and saves physical effort, making the practice not only healthier but more maintainable. Safety always deserves emphasis. Dandelion's diuretic nature means it can overlap with prescribed water pills. Too much fluid loss places stress on the kidneys and circulation. That is why seniors taking such medication should introduce dandelion only after consulting their physicians. Mulberry's interaction with diabetes medication follows similar caution. Careful glucose monitoring ensures that its helpful moderation does not slip unexpectedly into hypoglycemia. Respecting these boundaries preserves the helpful qualities of these leaves without creating new risks. The clear rule remains: use food-level preparations like teas or mild powders, avoid high-dose extracts, and monitor the body's responses. Beyond nutrients and sugar balance, there are secondary advantages that emerge from these habits. When blood sugar is less erratic, the inflammatory burden on bones and cartilage decreases. At the same time, when minerals are better absorbed and directed into skeletal tissue, seniors move more comfortably, which helps burn sugar more efficiently. The body's feedback systems strengthen each other in small but significant ways, turning tea time into more than relaxation. It becomes part of a reinforcing cycle between metabolism, bones, and mobility. This integration is one reason why researchers are giving dandelion and mulberry new attention in clinical studies. The mental element is important as well. Seniors who face daily medication regimens often feel disempowered. Adding dandelion or mulberry tea into a personal routine is simple to manage without outside help, and that autonomy matters. Preparing a cup of tea requires no specialist tools and no supervision, but it brings an active feeling of participation in one's own care. Many older adults describe that independence as calming, relieving stress in ways that prescription regimens rarely do. Such psychological benefits are not secondary, but part of overall resilience, as lighter stress loads directly affect sugar control, energy levels, and bone balance. These points underscore why gentle leaves like dandelion and mulberry are being recommended in discussions about senior health in 2025. Their roles are modest but broad, bridging multiple vulnerabilities that strike at once with age. Bones, joints, and sugar do not deteriorate separately. They interlock, feeding into one another's weaknesses. A daily practice of including these teas offers simultaneous reinforcement instead of fragmenting care into multiple isolated steps. Doctors and researchers emphasize that this approach is not a replacement for medication, but a background layer of stability, an added toolkit that saves older bodies from the constant tug-of-war between bone fragility, joint pain, and unstable glucose. Over time, these gradual effects provide wider stability. Minor reductions in soreness allow more activity, steadier blood sugar reduces fatigue, and improved nutrient absorption maintains skeletal strength. None of these outcomes arrives overnight, but together they grant seniors a consistent baseline of resilience. With dandelion and mulberry included in basic routines, everyday movement, comfort, and self-regulation become less of a struggle. That steady reinforcement can mean the difference between decline and sustained independence, preserving health in small but cumulative steps. Yet there is another hidden system that shapes how sugar and cholesterol behave, one that often goes unnoticed until problems are advanced. The liver, a central hub of metabolism, faces growing strain with age and directly influences how effectively the body handles belly fat. If bones and joints determine how we move, the liver determines how energy is managed and stored. Weakness in this organ often makes diabetes and fat accumulation harder to reverse. Understanding how leaves can support the liver adds another essential layer to this picture. Leaves that clean the liver and protect belly fat loss. Fatty liver problems are far more common in seniors than most people realize, and they often go unnoticed until other issues appear. Unlike high blood sugar or cholesterol, which are easily tracked in regular blood work, liver fat often builds quietly without obvious symptoms. Yet when the liver becomes overloaded, the entire system slows. Sugar lingers longer in circulation, Harmful fats are stored more easily, and belly fat becomes harder to reduce. For older adults, this hidden strain can undercut progress in nearly every other area of health. That is why gentle daily support aimed at the liver is now being looked at as a practical strategy for protecting long-term well-being. Two leaves with particular promise are avocado and mango. Avocado leaves, though usually set aside in favor of the fruit, contain compounds that may help the liver handle stress more effectively. Research and traditional use point to antioxidants and flavonoids within the leaf that protect liver cells from oxidative pressure, which rises naturally with age. This protection matters for seniors whose livers already juggle metabolic waste, environment-related toxins, and multiple prescriptions each day. By easing that stress, avocado leaves may allow the liver to focus on its central roles, processing sugar, breaking down fats, and clearing out waste. A steady liver also has a trickle-down effect. Less fat builds inside its cells, triglyceride overload is avoided, and belly fat slowly becomes easier to mobilize for energy. For practical use, tea form is best. A single dried leaf steeped in hot water gives a mild exposure without adding the risks seen in concentrated powders or extracts. For taste, blending with a familiar herb like mint makes it more enjoyable, which improves consistency over time. Mango leaves carry a slightly different profile, offering what researchers consider a dual action on liver and pancreas. Early investigations suggest their compounds may help regulate fat processing in the liver while supporting insulin sensitivity in the pancreas. For seniors, the advantage here is clear. With age, the liver tends to slow its filtering capacity, and the pancreas loses efficiency producing insulin. Mango leaves may give both a modest nudge, helping the liver reduce fat buildup, while also smoothing out how blood sugar is handled after meals. The clinical payoff is easy to describe: steadier post-meal sugar levels and reduced fat storage in the waist area, especially stubborn visceral fat that builds behind the abdominal wall. Once again, the simplest and safest form is tea. A few dried leaves steeped for 10 minutes daily is enough to build a habit without overwhelming the body. Those with limited hand mobility may prefer pre-bagged versions, which avoid scooping or cutting loose leaves. The benefit of these teas comes not from sudden metabolic changes, but from repeated daily support. Over weeks and months, seniors who add avocado or mango tea may notice fasting glucose. Readings become steadier, or waistlines hold steady instead of expanding. Supporting the liver helps the whole metabolic system. Less triglyceride buildup, more consistent blood sugar control, and gradual improvement in belly fat loss. These small, steady shifts are often more realistic and sustainable than expecting rapid change. Safety principles are straightforward. High-dose extracts of avocado or mango leaves may interact with diabetes or blood pressure medications by changing sugar levels or affecting drug clearance. Senior safe use involves keeping intake at culinary or tea strength only. Monitoring is also wise. For those already diagnosed with fatty liver or taking lipid-lowering prescriptions, it is important to inform your hepatologist or prescribing doctor before adding these teas. Routine blood tests like ALT and AST, which measure liver function, should be watched during the first months. If those values remain steady while other benefits build, it gives both the senior and the clinician confidence that the practice is safe to continue. Another layer of value comes from drug safety itself. Seniors often process medications more slowly because enzyme activity in the liver declines with age. That means many prescriptions linger longer in the blood, increasing the chance of side effects. By keeping the liver supported and working efficiently, avocado and mango leaves may indirectly reduce that medication burden. They don't replace medical care, but provide gentle background support that helps the body cope with the demands of long-term prescription use. Just as important as clinical benefits is the motivational impact. Belly fat is one of the most frustrating challenges for older adults. Diet and exercise often seem insufficient against stubborn visceral fat. When liver support begins to change how fat is stored and used, even subtle reductions in waist size or steadier glucose readings encourage consistency. A half-inch improvement in waist measurement or smoother morning glucose values remind seniors that their small daily habits are paying off. That sense of progress makes it far more likely that teas will become a lasting routine. The mental and lifestyle ease of preparing these teas also lowers barriers. Both avocado and mango leaves are increasingly available in pre-packaged tea bags, allowing seniors to prepare them without strain, special equipment, or complicated timing. The act of preparing a soothing daily tea doubles as a calming ritual, and the stress reduction alone can contribute positively to health. Lower stress hormones, after all, make it easier to stabilize blood sugar and protect against extra weight gain. Over time, consistent use of avocado and mango leaves may offer seniors a hidden defense. Instead of fat accumulating silently in the liver and belly, the body begins to circulate energy more effectively. Meals feel lighter, digestion moves more comfortably, and the liver itself handles daily demands more smoothly. The overall improvement is gradual, but this often works better with age, avoiding the shocks of strong drugs while still pushing the body toward healthier function. None of this means these herbs should replace existing prescriptions. They are best seen as allies, giving gentle reinforcement rather than decisive shifts. Real benefit appears when seniors commit to steady habits, sipping teas at the same time each day, tracking small health changes, and sharing any differences with their healthcare providers at regular checkups. This teamwork between daily leaves and medical care is what creates lasting improvement. By lightening the burden inside the liver, avocado and mango leaves touch one of the most stubborn aspects of senior metabolism, visceral fat. As the liver clears more efficiently and fat storage slows, the cascade of strain on circulation and pancreas begins to lessen. For older adults, this is one of the most practical ways to make fat loss around the middle less of a fight. The growing recognition of how leaves reshape hidden systems like the liver shows why natural supports have a place in senior care plans. But physical health is only part of the picture. Another daily fear many older adults voice is not about belly fat or cholesterol at all, but about the mind. Memory, attention, and clear thinking are themselves deeply tied to aging and metabolism. That connection points to another group of gentle leaves with promising benefits, this time directed at keeping the brain sharp. Gentle leaves that support memory and clear thinking. For older adults, keeping memory sharp has as much to do with physical health as with mental exercise. The brain relies on two essentials: steady glucose and strong circulation. Without these, the energy supply to neurons falters and concentration suffers. That is why memory concerns in later years often run parallel to conditions like high blood sugar, cholesterol buildup, and inflammation. Supporting the mind through healthier metabolism isn't separate from diet. It can include everyday leaves that play subtle but important roles. Among these, rosemary and mint remain two of the most practical and accessible allies. Rosemary is familiar in the kitchen, but its benefits extend far beyond flavor. Studies and traditional accounts suggest its plant compounds carry antioxidant effects that reduce oxidative stress inside the brain. Since neurons rely heavily on oxygen, they generate free radicals quickly, which over years can lead to slower recall and weaker focus. Rosemary's antioxidants may help protect these sensitive tissues, giving the brain a calmer environment to process information. Another way rosemary helps is by supporting blood flow. With age, arteries naturally stiffen, slowing circulation, and many seniors notice foggy thinking or low energy during the day. Compounds in rosemary have been shown to encourage smoother circulation, including to brain tissue, which helps deliver oxygen and glucose consistently. The result isn't a dramatic memory boost, but steadier clarity over time. A morning cup of rosemary tea, or even taking in its aroma while cooking, often provides an immediate sense of refreshment. Many people describe the scent as a wake-up for the mind. Mint, though often linked with digestion or freshness, also has properties that help maintain mental sharpness. Laboratory tests and traditional use suggest its antioxidants act much like rosemary's, shielding brain cells from gradual wear caused by oxidative stress. At the same time, mint provides a subtle lift in alertness, gentler than caffeine, but enough to improve focus for daily tasks. Older adults who drink mint tea or add mint water to their afternoons often notice a lighter, clearer feeling that doesn't disrupt sleep later. This makes it especially useful for keeping attentiveness through medication schedules, conversations, or reading. Beyond mood and alertness, mint may help preserve the fatty layers around neurons that are critical for smooth signal transfer. By reducing oxidative disruption in these membranes, mint helps support communication between brain cells, which translates into fewer lapses and steadier recall across the day. A cold glass of mint water on a warm afternoon is a simple, practical way seniors can refresh both body and mind. Both rosemary and mint thus share a balanced profile. Small studies and long traditional use suggest they can support alertness and circulation linked to memory, but they should be seen as preventive supports, not treatments for dementia. The value comes less from curing and more from gently protecting brain function over time. For seniors, making these herbs part of a daily routine, whether through tea in the morning, flavored water in the afternoon, or the sensory lift of rosemary's aroma while cooking, offers accessible, repeatable habits that build resilience gradually. Practical considerations add to their usefulness. Both herbs are available almost everywhere in pre-packaged teas, which require little strength or preparation. Seniors with arthritis or limited grip can prepare them easily, and the repeatable process increases adherence. Importantly, because these are mild, food-level preparations, the risks of interaction are low. Still, safety requires awareness. Seniors with reflux may want a moderate strong mint teas, as mint can relax the esophagus. Rosemary in food and tea is generally well tolerated, but concentrated oils should be avoided, particularly by those with a seizure history. As with every change in older age, moderation matters most. There is also a clear opportunity for self-monitoring. If memory concerns are a priority, any herbal approach should be discussed with a clinician and used alongside formal care, such as cognitive testing or memory-specific therapies. These leaves should be thought of as companions, never replacements. Doctors point out that the earlier preventive supports are adopted, the more effectively they slow accumulation of damage. Waiting until lapses are severe reduces the potential benefit. For this reason, consistency and collaboration with healthcare providers are essential. Beyond measurable cognitive outcomes, rosemary and mint positively influence mood. Circulation support from rosemary can ease the irritability and fatigue, often tied to low oxygen delivery, while mint's refreshing profile helps calm small stresses that cloud thinking. Seniors sometimes overlook these indirect effects, yet they are meaningful. A calmer mood makes recall easier, and sharper daily focus supports independence in managing medicines, finances, and conversations. The role of sensory input shouldn't be underestimated either. Research and anecdotal reports show that rosemary aroma alone often stimulates brain areas connected with alertness, even without ingestion. This makes it one of the rare examples where simply engaging scent can provide a cognitive lift. Seniors who keep rosemary nearby as a culinary herb can benefit from small moments of stimulation each time meals are prepared. Mint's cooling scent works differently, but the refreshing quality often acts like a reset for attention, particularly in mid-afternoon. These sensory cues make the process enjoyable, which increases the likelihood of long-term consistency. Herbs like rosemary and mint are not dramatic interventions, but their true strength lies in quiet, steady reinforcement. They offer a preventive buffer that helps protect memory and maintain clarity over more years of aging. Used daily in tea, water infusions, or even scent-based rituals, they preserve comfort and independence without side effects or disruption. For seniors who want to age on steadier terms, these are accessible methods that provide both physiological support and psychological reassurance. Still, with all these steady allies, it becomes clear that some leaves are relatively modest, while others carry wider influence. Among the many studied in 2025, one stands out for its ability to affect several systems at once: sugar control, cholesterol balance, and stubborn belly fat. Unlike general culinary herbs, this one has been shown in research to work almost like a switch inside metabolism, making it particularly compelling for older adults. And as we turn there next, you'll see why it has earned recognition as the most distinctive leaf in senior health today. The miracle leaf, senior metabolism's reset switch. Among all the leaves we have explored, one carries a particularly strong reputation in both tradition and science. It is not just a helper for a single organ, nor simply a mild support for comfort. It affects several major systems that aging often pushes out of balance. Researchers in 2025 are focusing heavily on this leaf because it contains unique compounds that act on multiple metabolic pathways at once. It is olive leaf, taken from the same tree that gives us olives and olive oil, and it continues to attract attention for how it may support sugar control, cholesterol balance, and fat metabolism together. Olive leaf has been used in traditional medicine for centuries, often recognized for protecting against infections. Modern science has brought new clarity by identifying one compound inside called oleuropein. This single component is widely studied because of its effects on insulin function, lipid patterns, and fat storage mechanisms. Where most leaves provide support for one area at a time, olive leaf may influence several processes that older bodies usually struggle with simultaneously. For seniors managing blood sugar, belly weight, and cholesterol all at once, that overlap makes it one of the most promising options available. The change that many people notice with age is declining insulin sensitivity. In simple terms, the body cells do not hear insulin's call as clearly as they once did. Glucose remains in the blood, insulin production rises, and the pancreas exhausts itself trying to keep up. This pattern sets the stage for type 2 diabetes, which becomes increasingly common after 60. Studies suggest that olive leaf may improve the way cells respond to insulin. Instead of making the pancreas push harder, oleuropein allows the existing insulin signal to be more effective. It is not a cure, but for seniors already losing some responsiveness, even a modest increase in sensitivity helps glucose move into cells and be used for energy rather than stored as fat. This directly connects to belly fat, one of the most stubborn challenges for aging adults. When sugar lingers in the blood, the body naturally converts much of it into triglycerides and deposits them around the midsection. By supporting cells to use sugar more effectively, olive leaf may lower the amount that turns into fat. Over consistent months of use, this may ease the accumulation of visceral fat, especially around the organs deep in the abdomen. What makes this noteworthy is that visceral fat is the kind most strongly tied to higher risks of heart disease and insulin resistance. For seniors battling both, avoiding its buildup provides additional layers of safety. Cholesterol adds another dimension. Many older adults take statins to control cholesterol, yet they sometimes experience side effects like muscle soreness or fatigue. Olive leaf compounds appear to work differently, influencing how cholesterol is processed and circulated. Early reports suggest that LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol, may decrease, while HDL, the good cholesterol, receives relative support. These effects do not arrive suddenly, but develop gradually, allowing for better ratios without straining the system. For seniors looking for ways to improve cholesterol without harsh drops or difficult side effects, olive leaf's gentle influence offers a credible adjunct to standard therapies. There is also evidence that its compounds protect the arteries themselves. Oleuropein and related antioxidants reduce oxidative stress in vessel walls, which is important because oxidative damage makes arterial plaques less stable. If plaques rupture, they can trigger heart attacks or strokes. By moderating this damage, olive leaf may improve not only cholesterol numbers, but also the stability of circulation over time. In this way, protection extends beyond the lab test into daily safety for seniors managing cardiovascular risk. Unlike some short-lived supplement trends, olive leaf continues to be examined across clinical and laboratory studies. Researchers value that its effects are not confined to experimental reports, but show up in broader cardiovascular and metabolic research. For seniors who may feel skeptical after decades of fads promising quick fixes, olive leaf offers greater reassurance. It is not promoted as a miracle on advertisements alone. Its credibility is tied to recognized scientific attention. That being said, safety remains a priority. Despite promising evidence, concentrated olive leaf extracts are strong and can interact with medications. They may lead to lower blood pressure or unexpected drops in glucose when combined with prescribed drugs. The safer choice for seniors is tea or a mild extract used under medical guidance. A practical approach is to begin with a single cup of mild olive leaf tea daily, while tracking fasting glucose and lipid readings in partnership with a clinician before deciding whether to increase frequency. This combines safety with accountability, ensuring each person knows how their own body is responding. Side effects at tea strength are usually mild, though some people notice temporary digestive changes. To prevent discomfort, seniors should start gradually and give the body time to adjust. Because many already check blood sugar and cholesterol regularly, the effects can be tracked in real life. If numbers move in the right direction without new complications, the daily tea demonstrates clear, measurable value. There is also a cultural reassurance with olive products. The Mediterranean diet, often praised for supporting longevity, already features olive oil as a cornerstone. Olive leaf connects to this same tradition, extending benefits beyond the table. For seniors who prefer to rely on habits rooted in established diets rather than imported superfoods, olive leaf carries that sense of continuity and credibility. What makes it stand out in discussions of aging health is its broad reach. Instead of addressing only symptoms like bloating or discomfort, olive leaf may act closer to the origins of metabolic imbalance. Supporting insulin sensitivity improves how sugar is managed. Balancing cholesterol helps protect circulation. Reducing fat accumulation relieves strain on the liver and heart. At a time when older adults often battle several problems at once, a single, food-safe leaf that touches all three is rare. Still, it should never be seen as a replacement for prescribed treatments. The most accurate description is that olive leaf can serve as a strong adjunct. For some seniors, steady use alongside medical therapy may even create the possibility of reducing dosages in the future, always under direct physician supervision. Framing it this way preserves safety while highlighting its potential benefits clearly. The practice of using olive leaf tea feels manageable and sustainable for most. Brewing 1 cup requires only minimal effort and can fit seamlessly into morning or evening routines. Unlike complex supplement regimens, there is no worry about timing or stacking capsules with meals. Seniors who already enjoy chamomile or green tea can place olive leaf tea in that same rotation without confusion. Simple, repeatable habits are the most likely to continue long-term, and for older adults, consistency is often the key to seeing results. Over time, the changes may be noticeable in daily life. Steadier blood sugar readings, less resistant belly weight, improved cholesterol patterns, and less fatigue on walks or activities. These improvements do not arrive overnight, but reveal themselves across months of consistent practice. For many older adults, that gradual pace feels realistic and trustworthy compared to promises of quick fixes. Olive leaf should be considered a cornerstone in the broader picture of leaf-based support for seniors. Other herbs like rosemary, parsley, or lemon balm carry their own benefits, but olive leaf's reach across multiple systems sets it apart. Used responsibly, it strengthens the impact of those smaller supports and provides a base layer of balance. Its role is neither miraculous nor absolute, but firmly grounded in tradition and reinforced by present research. Because of its wide action, olive leaf is often discussed with more enthusiasm than many other remedies. Yet the same rule applies here as to every leaf mentioned before. Always consider medication interactions and individual health conditions before starting. Seniors balancing prescriptions know the cost of overlooking this detail. Olive leaf deserves attention, but that attention must be paired with caution to keep benefits safe and reliable. That detail leads to a larger question many older adults naturally ask whenever herbs are mentioned. If these leaves carry genuine potential, how can someone be sure they will not create conflicts with existing treatments? This concern is common and justified, and addressing it clearly is part of making these natural supports truly practical. How to use these leaves safely with medications? When using natural leaves alongside prescribed medicines, the priority must be safety. Older adults often take several prescriptions each day, from pills for blood pressure and cholesterol to drugs for blood sugar, fluid control, and sleep. Adding an herbal tea on top without a plan can create conflicts because aging bodies metabolize compounds more slowly and cannot clear excesses as quickly. That is why how to use these leaves safely with medications becomes one of the most important discussions for seniors. The goal is not to reject medicines or to overload the body. The real aim is balance, bringing in gentle support from leaves without disrupting essential treatment routines. There are 4 clear rules that work like a spoken checklist. First, always tell every healthcare provider what herbs you are using. Even if you think they are mild teas, your doctor or pharmacist needs to know. Second, prefer tea and culinary forms over concentrated extracts. These gentler preparations are easier for older livers and kidneys to handle. Third, start low and don't take herbs at the exact same time as prescriptions. Instead, stagger the timing by waiting 1 to 2 hours after taking your prescribed medicine. Fourth, monitor your body. Track blood glucose if you use diabetes drugs, blood pressure if you are on antihypertensives, and clotting tests if you take blood thinners for 2 to 4 weeks after adding a new herb. These 4 points sound simple, but they create a strong framework for safe, steady use. Research backs this caution. Interactions do exist, and not just in theory. For example, studies note that chia leaf may reduce the effectiveness of metformin, one of the most widely prescribed diabetes medicines. This means a tea that seems harmless could alter how well a drug controls sugar levels. Other plants, such as parsley or holy basil, carry mild effects on clotting, which may layer onto prescription blood thinners. That is why monitoring is not optional. Simple daily checks, sugar readings, blood pressure logs, or watching for new bruising become safeguards to catch changes early. Blood pressure and heart medicines are among the most prescribed in older age, and here extra care is needed. If a prescription already lowers blood pressure, concentrated olive leaf extracts or large quantities of parsley tea could cause pressure to dip too far. For seniors, this can increase dizziness and fall risk. Limiting herbs to food or tea levels spaced away from pills avoids these sudden drops. In the same way, those on diuretics for fluid control may face compounded effects if they add strong doses of herbs like dandelion. A small daily tea is acceptable, but high-dose capsules can dehydrate or deplete essential minerals like potassium, which then affect heart rhythm. Thinking of herbs as partners at gentle levels, not replacements at high doses, keeps them safe. Blood sugar medications are another high-risk area for interaction. Some herbs, such as mulberry and olive leaf, may lower glucose after meals. This is desirable for managing sugar, but if combined with metformin, sulfonylureas, or insulin, the cumulative effect could cause hypoglycemia. Seniors might experience shakiness, dizziness, or blurred vision if sugar dips too far. To prevent this, the checklist rule of monitor labs and symptoms closely for 2 to 4 weeks becomes essential. Seniors should record glucose at consistent times each day and bring those notes to their clinician. If numbers drift too low alongside herbal tea, medicine doses can be reviewed and adjusted. The safest form is always tea or mild culinary use. Concentrated powders, oils, and capsules often contain amounts of active compounds several times higher than what herbs deliver naturally. Older organs cannot handle this load effectively, raising risks for interactions, especially since prescriptions and over-the-counter drugs are already adding stress. Teas balance this by extracting gentle levels of compounds into hot water, strong enough to be active but not overwhelming. A tea bag steeped for a few minutes delivers effects slowly and predictably, matching the slower metabolism of seniors. Patience and consistency matter more than force. 1 or 2 cups of tea per day, taken steadily over weeks, provide a continuous benefit without jolting the system. Large, irregular doses from capsules or tinctures confuse the body because chemical spikes rise and fall unpredictably. A safer strategy is to add a single leaf at a time, rather than many together. This ensures any side effect or interaction can be traced to the right plant. The simple instruction is, add one thing at a time so you can tell what helps or harms. This mirrors respected clinical advice and prevents confusion. Practical safety steps make this easier to follow. Seniors should keep a running list of all prescriptions, supplements, and teas, and bring it to every appointment. A caregiver can support by writing down the date any new tea begins and noting unusual symptoms in the first 2 weeks. Having a clear record is important because doctors then connect changes in blood work or well-being to specific herbs. This saves guessing and strengthens teamwork in care. Even an ordinary notebook or weekly planner can serve, as long as dates and observations are written clearly. Hydration limits should also be respected. Some seniors must limit daily fluids to protect their heart or kidneys. Each cup of herbal tea counts toward this total. That means herbal teas should replace other drinks, not simply add to the day's fluid intake. Swapping a tea for plain water makes the routine sustainable without overloading the system. Taste and comfort play a role in using safe doses rather than risky extracts. Some seniors may dislike the natural flavor of certain teas and be tempted to switch to capsules. But teas are the safer route. Experimenting with lighter steep times, blending with mint, or adding a slice of lemon can make flavors more appealing. Enjoyable taste also encourages consistency, which matters more than chasing high concentrations. Timing adds another layer of safety. Herbal teas do not need to be taken alongside prescribed medications. Spacing them out by at least 1 hour reduces competition for absorption. A reliable rhythm might look like this: prescribed medicines first thing in the morning with plain water, a calming or digestive tea later in the morning, a metabolic supporting tea after a meal, and an evening calming tea closer to bedtime. This spreads activity evenly across the day without burdening the system. It is important to reject the idea that natural automatically means safe. Grapefruit juice, which is a common food, is notorious for interfering with prescription drugs. The same principle applies to herbal leaves. They have real bioactive compounds that help the body, but those same compounds can change how medicines behave. Respecting their strength is what keeps them useful rather than risky. To make this advice clear, imagine one possible daily outline for a senior already taking prescriptions. In the morning, medicines are taken with water. Around late morning, a mint or rosemary tea can be added for mental clarity outside of medicine time. In the afternoon, a single mulberry or dandelion tea might support glucose control or bones, but sugar should be checked before dinner. In the evening, a calming lemon balm or holy basil tea can ease stress and support circulation, again with space allowed after medications. Each tea is timed deliberately, 1 or 2 per day, and files into a log. This creates a repeatable framework that is easy to track and easy to adjust if needed. Caregivers can play a central role. A single added habit helps most. Write down all medications and when each tea was first introduced. At the next appointment, providers can line up health changes against that timeline. This protects seniors, supports decision-making, and eliminates confusion about what triggered what. It transforms guesswork into informed care. The most important message is that seniors should never hurry this process. Choose one herbal ally, start with tea or food-level use, monitor with intention for a few weeks, and then decide whether to continue or add another. Patience not only protects against risks, but also builds trust in the leaf's benefits as they accumulate gradually. Herbs provide their best results when safety practices are woven into daily life. Used carefully, leaves can become steady companions that fit into existing routines without straining the body or interfering with essential medicines. Clarity and caution allow older adults to experience real support from these simple plants while preserving the confidence that their treatments remain secure. And once that balance is understood, the role of natural leaves in senior health comes into sharper focus, opening the way for a broader conclusion about how health in 2025 can be shaped not only by prescriptions, but also by safe, steady habits that start in the kitchen. Here is the simple plan to finish with. First, pick one leaf to try as tea for 2 to 4 weeks. Choose olive leaf if your doctor agrees and you want a broad metabolic test, or start gently with peppermint or rosemary for digestion or memory. Second, track one clear sign such as fasting glucose, LDL cholesterol, or waist size, and note any changes during that period. Third, bring those notes to your clinician before adding more herbs or changing doses, so adjustments stay safe and personal. If this video helped you, try the simple 1-cup test this week and comment below how it felt, and subscribe for more senior safe routines. These leaves can be helpful as part of a plan used carefully with your medical team.